Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats, and I apologize for the unexpected extra week of vacation. You know, you can plan things and you can think that everything is going to work out, but in the end, if it does falter or just slip through the cracks, you just got to deal with it. And while it was great to take another week to watch some football or take another week to think about how I want to take the KC Media brand to different perspectives or different levels, I missed it. You know, I missed it. I missed recording. I missed this whole process. And then I also realized I'm a little rusty. I was a little, when I was working on this episode and I was watching myself ask the questions, I was like, I'm not as comfortable as I was prior to this break. So it's always great to have vacation, but then that whole getting back into the swing of it, getting back on that routine, it could take a while. So I'm, it was just fun, to get back into working on some programs and get back to creating content. And speaking of working on a schedule, my guest today is August Jefferson, and I do my usual routine of, hey, here's a topic sheet of what I want to speak with you about, and most of the times it semi sticks with it or semi is guided by it, but this conversation, it went to a whole nother direction that I'm extremely happy it did, because my goal with this podcast is to try and talk with people that I think are doing interesting things with our lives. And for August is that outside of being a University of Oregon alumni, he also is a rapper or hip hop artist. I'm kind of clumping those two together, but so I listen to his music, which is available on Spotify, iTunes, and also on YouTube. And oh my God, to think that I went to class with this man and he helped me get this degree over my left shoulder from the University of Oregon. It's just like, what? What? So unfortunately, I didn't ask him about his origins and how he got into rap, but I think that's okay, because he and I just spoke about our anxieties. We spoke about how we overthink and how we jump from A to Z while in one giant leap, instead of doing the steps in between to get to that endpoint. And that was just the part that really sticks with me, because I knew August as such a smart guy that is very friendly and very open, about his life, but I never got him to open up that much. And when I got him to open up that much, made me realize I should have hung out with this guy much more than I did during school. So, after the interview, I even texted him saying, like, dude, thank you so much for being so open. And he actually revealed something that he never talked about on air. So I'm not gonna say what it is, but I was blown away that he was open and okay with mentioning that on my podcast, in my show, where it will go to all these platforms. It will also be on video, and he's owning it. He's owning all of his anxieties. He's owning all of his fears, all his depressions, and it was inspiring. It was definitely inspiring, and definitely made me, as a friend to him, just be like, this guy, my gosh, this guy. So very, very happy about that. And some personal news before I send you off to that interview. So I'm recording this intro, I should say, on January 20th. And on this day, we have a new president. So prior to this year I've spent with this job I currently have, I never really thought about politics. I never really, when it came to voting, I was like, just give me a pamphlet, give me a book, or give me a voter ballot and give me a pamphlet to read, and I'll figure it out. But during this year at this job I currently have, where politics is talked about so much, I couldn't help but check it out. I couldn't help but keep an eye on, see what's going on. And I watched the first presidential, I guess this would be the second, but my first presidential debate. And wow, that was wow. I get why former President Trump, which is going to be weird to say, I get why everyone was saying such negative things about him. I'm all on board with them as well, because it was very hard to watch because of him. And I don't try not to bring too much of my political views into this, but just as a normal person, when it comes to having a conversation, I don't like when people interrupt each other or talk over each other. An example is like Bill O'Reilly. I've seen that a few times in high school, and I was just like, it's like a dagger kind of twisting slowly. So, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a great 4 years, and I think it's going to, be on the upswing. Granted, there are people that are going to have different views, and I totally agree with that. I'm totally open to hearing them. I just don't know how much of a fight I can put into that conversation because, again, I feel like I'm just on the beginner level when it comes to politics, but I'm at least getting there. I'm at least trying. So there's that. And also, on January 19th is a very special day as well, as it was my mother's birthday. So she is an avid listener or watcher of my show, and I'm always going to be so grateful and so thankful for her support. So if you are watching or listening to this one, Mom, I love you. Thank you so much for helping me become the man I am today. All right, so I had to get those two announcements out there to everyone. And I had to retract what I said in my intro for Alana Rich's episode, as I mentioned that I'm going to post the top 10 mock draft for the NFL. And I was like kind of on the fence about it because once I got to figure out what I think the order or what I think, who I think is going to be drafted in those slots, it was getting close to the playoffs or just the playoff round was finishing. And I was like, I want to know exactly what the order is going to be. Granted, trades can happen, but I want to know exactly what that order is going to be before I send it out to the public. So once the clock on the Super Bowl hits 0 and it's officially done, then I will release my first mock draft. It's just easier that way where I don't have to put in much guesswork. And so I currently, I believe, up to pick number 23 is cemented. So, it's almost there, and we have about 2 weeks of football left as we got the title game, and then we have the championship. So it's just fun for me to, I love the NFL. People are going to say otherwise for numerous reasons, but I love the NFL. It's so much fun. And I also realized that I missed a few movies when I did my DC animated movie review series, and those I'm waiting a little bit just to make sure I do all my homework and make sure I don't miss anything else. So keep an eye out for that. And I know I say keep an eye out, but you're probably thinking, how do I keep an eye out? How do I keep in the loop as far as what I post and my episode release announcements? You could follow KC Media on both Instagram and Twitter under KC Media 13. And then on Facebook, go to Conlu K Media. I made the Facebook one first. KC Media was taken, so I had to swap around the order of it. But it'll still have the same content. Check it out, follow, and subscribe, and do all those fun things because, I love to know who's actually who's the fans. I love to know the fans. I love to have conversations with them. And if you're a fan and you want to become a guest on my show, email me or message me on social media. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to get you scheduled. So without further ado, I don't believe there's anything else I have to catch you guys up on. But however you are listening to this episode, through whatever platform you prefer, or if you're watching it on YouTube, I hope you enjoy my chat with August Jefferson. Well, folks, for people that are just joining or have started this episode, there is a degree right over my shoulder from the University of Oregon. I wouldn't have that degree because I struggled in Spanish, and this man, my guest today, August Jefferson, was the gentleman that helped me get through that struggling hump that is learning a second language. So, August, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How you doing?
Oh, it's well, we're at the time of this recording about 17 days into 2021, and still some downs, but ups
Mm.
are definitely higher so far. But we're here. We're here. You're here for your first podcast episode. I'm very happy and honored to have you on.
I'm happy to be here, man. This is my first time doing anything like this, so I'm very proud.
Yeah, thanks. I work hard to, but seriously though, it's nice to because you and I we worked fairly closely in college, and then
Mhm.
afterwards we kind of parted ways as I moved up to Portland. You finished up schooling. How was that process of graduation? Oh wait, you graduated and you were okay because you didn't have to deal with COVID,
I
right?
didn't graduate in 2018, so it's
Sure.
2 years before the madness happened.
Just how does it feel to say that you are a University of Oregon graduate? It's still like it's like a cloud. It's like a heaven second. It's a heavenly feeling. I'm like
Right.
I'm an alumni.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird feeling because I still have friends who are in University of Oregon, so like still contacted them like, oh, like I'm not there no more. Like I'm not a part of the school grounds. I'm a big boy now. I'm an
Yeah.
adult. So it's a weird feeling being an alumni, but it's a great feeling, especially having all my family being there for my graduation. So it was a great feeling for me.
Yeah. Okay. So I can't remember, what did you end up graduating with? Like, what was your degree?
I got 2 degrees. I got
Ooh.
English, and I did graduate with Spanish. So I think I learned my calling after helping you out.
My brother also got 2 degrees. I only got the one journalism. So he got
Mm.
two, and then every so often he always like hovers it over my head. He's like, "Hey, you know who's the smartest conlet of this whole family? Me, because I have 2 degrees." I'm like, "Wow."
Wow, I feel like such a dick every time I'm like, I have 2 degrees. I'm like, oh, this sounds so pretentious. So
But you're able to, it seems like, what were you thinking when you were about to head towards graduation and like, okay, I got these 2 degrees. Did you have like a dream job that you're thinking you can get?
uh dream job was really just the music, but I knew I was very far away from making any type of money from it. But I guess the closest thing to a dream job would be like some type of, I don't want to say journalism because that's what you do, but some type of music writing to at least get me into the business and close it up to other people. Like, hey, I can write an article for you, and then here's also a fire song that I made.
Hey, a little package deal,
Little double whammy.
double whammy. Well, you, I know there was some. I took one class. It was, I think, history of rap. I took it during a summer course. That showed my eyes to a lot of the history behind it, and then the different stages it went through. And I remember when we talked about we talked about crunk music with Little John.
Uh,
It was fun actually. I was like, man, there's a lot of history here. It's also different than anything I thought I'd ever take as a student.
yeah, I'd assume so. I remember my freshman year, there was you remember Figs?
It sounds familiar, yeah.
So like to those watching, a Fig group is basically like a group that you're assigned to, or you choose once you become a freshman. I think it's like a freshman intern, whatever it is, and you can join like English. Like depending on what your major is, you get assigned one. And there was one for hip hop, and that was my biggest regret of not taking it because I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna blaze through college, so I'm gonna take the English one.
Yeah.
I should the hip hop one.
Uh, well, there's always, you can go for a master's, maybe.
I think I'm done with school, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I know a few people that went back to master's degree, like they're about my age, and I was just like, "Good luck to you." I did my time. I'm ready to move on.
Felt like you went to prison, sir.
I mean, it did feel like prison at times, right? It's just we have strict times where we had to be in a certain place, and then
That's where we lived next to the inmates. We had a war over us. Yeah, but
oh man, but actually, before we started recording, we talked about our fun times in Eugene, and the things we missed, the elements of it. Is there anything that you kind of, other than the decision to go for the English versus the rap history, is there anything else that you kind of regretted that still sticks with you today, as far as your time at the University of Oregon?
I would say not getting involved enough my freshman year because every single one of my dorm mates was super involved. We were like a highly either like into frats or into like extracurriculars, and I was like, hey, y'all just want to watch movies and play games? Like that was my role freshman year. I wish I would have got more. I wish I would have been more social my
Yeah.
freshman year. That's probably my biggest regret, because near the end, I'm like, oh, this is what I was missing out. Everybody parties, the life. This is the college lifestyle. Freshman year, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play Smash Bros. Anybody want to play Smash Bros. Real quick? And
well,
that
I
was my
mean, well, I mean,
freshman year.
there are groups that play, video games together. Like I think like what maybe they have, oh god, electronic sports clubs. That's becoming a thing now.
Yeah, I remember. I think junior year there was one in Global Scholars, like GCH,
Mm.
GSH, but I didn't want to be a part of that. I already found my crew at that point, so I'm like, I'm already established.
Yeah, yeah. You're like this. It's more of a fun thing, but when you start joining a club and it becomes like the main focal point, you're like, I'm okay. I'm all right.
Casual. I don't want to be hardcore with this.
But you were able to join a club called the BMA Black Male Alliance. Tell me about that club and what kind of what is the, I don't know, mission statement, or what was their kind of goal with having that?
All right, so our MO was basically we wanted to be a coalition of Black men on campus who furthered and developed other Black men, and put them in positions to succeed. So we were partnered with the Black Student Union. There's also other coalitions like the Black Student Union. We had BWA, which is Black Women of Achievement, which is kind of the woman counterpart of that. And then there was a even bigger coalition of like the biggest and best of both, or all three, which became the Black Student Task Force. So our biggest thing that we want to do was like develop Black males at University of Oregon, because we had such a low rate, like what's the word I'm looking for? People transfer rate for Black males from the University of Oregon was super high. It took us twice as long to get degrees than any other group on campus, and we just wanted to amend that. So we
Yeah.
wanted to see like us succeed.
When you found out about all those stats or just read about that in the descriptions, what was your first thought?
It's gonna sound messed up. My first thought was like, this is pitiful.
We could do better.
I'm saying we can do better. I remember I joined it sophomore year of college, and I was very much looking for leadership roles. I'm like, I can do this. Like, I want to be. That's when I was like, I'm gonna start being more social.
Mhm.
And once I found all those stats, I'm like, I kind of got impassioned. I got passionate about it. I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is like, maybe this is why I've been put on this earth for, is to help other people who are like me. So I really went all in on it.
There you go. And then when you graduated senior year, what kind of growth did that club make in your time there?
In terms of our individual club, we were able to go to OSP, which is Oregon State Penitentiary, and read and like discuss with inmates there, which is probably my favorite thing that we did. We held socials for other Black students. We definitely, I feel, we increased retention in terms of Black students, and we definitely just kind of made, from our membership, it seemed like BMA was a home and a hub for like Black students, or at least Black men, because every time we come in, it's kind of like a therapy session. Like we would get things off our chest that was each person was struggling with. We had homework, or not homework hours, but we would help others with homework. We would just, it was kind of like a home base for
Yeah.
young Black.
And that's gotta be nice to have because, when you see, because Oregon in general is, not a strong representation of African Americans, Blacks, because it's very whitewashed. Just going to like Portland, it's, you don't see a whole lot, and when you do see them, you get so easily confused for an athlete, like a football player,
Yep.
basketball player, baseball player. Baseball, is there?
Yeah,
Is it?
baseball.
Yeah, baseball.
It's,
Okay. I was
yeah,
trying. I never watched much baseball at University of Oregon, so I was like, I don't
give
know
it
who
back.
roster.
Don't feel bad about it.
So was that a talking point about, that kind of easy confusion, or was that something you guys kind of just tabled?
1,000 Yeah, it was basically every time we had a new member, that was the first thing that they got off their chest was, hey, so everybody just thinks I'm an athlete and just kind of disregards me as a person. Like, if I go to a party, like, oh, what sport do you play? If I'm walking down the street, oh, he must be quarterback, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's very, for what University of Oregon is, it's kind of deceiving in which you think that, oh, there's going to be a lot of black students here. We see them plastered across uh, platforms. We see them in the pamphlets when you get there. We see the huge stadiums, the track team, the football team. You think that there'd be kind of a hub for black people. But once you get there, you realize that we're like 1.8% of the entire population, 1.8% of the entire state population, and just kind of left there thinking, damn, I got finessed. And everywhere you go, people look at you kind of weird because if you don't play sports, what are you doing here? It's kind of the general assumption for black students, black male students.
Yeah, it's because growing up, just because I'm a big NFL fan, and just growing up, you see just a minority of whites in the league, and then but they are in pretty high praise positions, so quarterback,
Yeah,
ownerships, or maybe coaches or whatnot. But that shift is starting to change. But I just remember, when I first, like for example, when I first met you, granted, I'm gonna apologize because that's what I thought. You are a bigger human being than I am, so I'm like, this guy must be blocking for Marcus Mariota or something like that. So, but once I got to know you, once I figure out, you don't do sports, it's like you get over it because there's more to people than what you
right.
first see.
On the outside, dog.
Yeah.
It's easy confusion, especially for someone like me, because I actually did play football, not for the university, but it's just it's a weird thing to happen. Like every time you come across somebody, they ask you if you play sports, and it's kind of like I'm more than just my body. I'm more than a piece of meat.
Yeah.
Like, to get an education.
Yeah, yeah. And then when it came to your music scene in your body image, you do see a lot of rappers that are like, let's say 50 Cent, he has a six-pack, all these other
Mm.
rappers six-pack. When you were kind of working yourself into that scene, were you just like, do I need a six-pack, or what were you thinking?
That's definitely a point of contention for me because I've always wanted six pack, but I've always been like a big dude my entire life. So I guess I would say I looked up to Biggie and like Big Pun, Big L, well Big L small, but just like big rappers to like really get that confidence because I guess the music scene is just like any scene in entertainment. Like if you have sex appeal, then there's always gonna be something to fall back on, even if your music's not the greatest. And you can really just pop based off being an attractive dude. So I was like, I went left, not saying that I'm not attractive because I'm big sexy, but it was more so let me focus on the craft since I don't have the body yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yet. There you go, man. Yeah, because when I listen to your stuff on Spotify, iTunes, I don't use Apple Music, but there were a lot more things on YouTube, obviously, probably for the time because Spotify just recently got big, but
Right.
you don't see your face. We don't see what you look like, and you just hear your voice, you hear the lyrics, you hear the beat, and it definitely it can go up there in contention with some of those other the big people, the big rappers out there, just because it is. I don't know why, but like when I was listening to it, I thought of Kid Cudi. I was like,
Oh,
kind of
he's
his
one of my
early stuff.
that's actually pretty cool that you heard him in my voice. He's definitely one of my influences when I was making music. So
Yeah.
good on you.
Oh, thanks, man. Headphones is pretty sharp. So, did you go to his concert when he was in Eugene?
Yeah, and that was actually my first concert ever.
Really?
It was freshman year. I lived in Hamilton, so it was right there. It's close walk. And I was like, this is what I want to do. Seeing him, I think he had a King Chip was his opening act. And
Yep.
there's one more person local. I forget the dude who was local, but he was good.
Mm-hmm.
And like I had never performed my music before in person, but seeing like Kid Cudi on the stage and how he was like, you remember how it said was kind of like comedic because he would just stop in between songs and like tell jokes. I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah.
It further invigorated me to like, this is what I want to do in life.
Yeah. And then did you watch any other they have those live performances you see on YouTube for like, let's say Kid Cudi or any other rappers, just because concerts are not a thing right now. So you could get a little nostalgia and watch a former live concert. Do you take notes when you do that, or are you just kind of taking mental notes as far as how you can set yourself up for when you take the stage?
I guess I take mental notes, and it's not so much like, oh, he crossed his arm at 2 seconds. Let me cross my arm and do that, or like how he did Drake does the little hand thing. It's more so like, how do they command the stage, and what part of the song? Because I'm rap. When I go to a concert, I like to imagine that it's me up there, so I'm rapping my ass off in the back. I'm, so I just kind of like look at them and wonder like where they take breaths at. How do they have like that stage presence, that control? How do they not like pass the fuck out if they're rapping a long time and don't take a breath? So I'm like examining them and then applying that to myself. I'm not notepad. It's more so like, I guess somebody watching King Griffey Jr. swing and trying to that to a certain extent, but not to the extent of drawing it all out, you know?
It's good that it's a second form of learning, because I know when I played football and I was on the sideline, they're like, you take mental reps because that's how you get better when we need you to step in case XYZ gets hurt or whatnot. So I did that at first when obviously before we started, I told you I'm gonna write notes down. I tried that. I tried that in my first couple of interviews. I was like, I'm gonna try to remember everything. I'll take mental notes, go back to it, and then I realized my brain's not that sharp anymore. So I had to start writing stuff down. So man, you gotta keep your brain sharp by remembering those things.
Yeah, it's definitely muscle memory in the memory game in total, because sometimes you just get lost in the sauce and like you're at a concert and you just want to enjoy yourself rather than make it a competitive sport that it kind of is.
Yeah. And then as far as in the maybe LA or maybe some of Eugene underground rap scene, did you make any kind of connections there and kind of collaborate with
Oh,
them how to like improve your game?
1000%. So going back to my point about joining that hip hop fig, almost everybody that I knew in the underground scene in Eugene was in that fig. And I slowly became really good friends with all of them, especially Smythe, the Ill Equips, Brax. I know I'm missing out on people, but just a lot of people who have bubbled up from the scene. And funny enough, they all came from, or at least the majority came from the same dorm that I was in. They came from Hamilton.
Really?
So like, the group Spiller that played in Willamette, they were from Spiller, which is right across from my dorm. I could see them. I heard them in the Hamilton basement playing when I was recording. Smythe was also in Spiller. Yeah, a lot of the music scene. Damn, what's his name? He was the leader of the Fig. I can't remember his name. Desmond Harvey is one of the goats. The UO Mike program, which is founded by people in the music scene. Like, I definitely made great connections out there. Majority of my fan base is out there in Eugene, so I have to make a trip soon, so I might stop by.
There you go.
But yeah, the game is all about connections and who you know and just making friends, because sometimes it's just about having fun, seeing what you can make.
Yeah. Yeah. And what my previous guest, she's a singer also, so she has that kind of idea of the music industry. She said that when it comes to collaboration, because her husband is also a singer, so they kind of intersect that way.
Oh,
He doesn't make the song with her in mind to like to sing the part. He makes a song and then he asks her like, hey, what do you think about this? Have you thought about doing any kind of collaborations with any of the undergrounders?
1000%. I definitely, well, with my first mixtape, I did a lot of collaborations with Etai, who's my producer now, produces Win, and it's kind of big time. In LA, it's kind of hard because everybody's Hollywood.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to get into that stage where I can just go to the studio and just create something in terms of start from scratch. Because my typical process is I get a beat and then I internalize it, sit on it, and then write. But now I kind of want to be a part of that process, that beat making process, to be like, hey, this is kind of what the vibe of the song or the idea, the concept I have in my mind is. Let's see if we can do something with that concept, both in terms of the beat and in terms of the lyrics, to make something wholly original.
Yeah. And so Talk about the process, or what was the kind of inspiration when you came up with the song? Is it Iscarito, the one that was released in September 11th, 2020?
Scary it.
Iscariot? Sorry, I was trying to
Yeah.
announce every single word.
No, it's fine because sometimes you know that's a Spanish and you still thinking that Spanish class.
God, it's stuck in my brain forever. Keoni Chats is brought to you by Vibes Training. Dylan Vibes is a good friend of the show, and he started his fitness business, and with COVID occurring and having people resort to new ways of getting an exercise in or finding ways to get to your physical goals that you set for yourself, Dylan has created an app that you can access by going to vibestraining.com. The blue button says accept your invite. Once you click on that, you will be prompted to the sign up page. And once you are an official member of Vibes Training, you'll have access to a community that you can share your achievements with. You can have questions be answered through. And it's just nice to know that you're not alone in trying to navigate through this fitness world. So outside of that, you also have a page that you can track all your progress in. And that is probably the biggest thing, trying to figure out how you went from A to C, and how B was kind of a rocky journey. And I know for myself, when it goes to being at the gym, I try to keep track of my reps, my weight, make sure I'm always pushing to get further. But since I'm at the gym by myself, it's kind of hard for me to be motivated. So with this app, you'll have a support system and you'll have a good trainer in Dylan that can help you get to your fitness goals in a very unique and very fun way. He's a very fun dude when it comes to, you know, his passion of exercise and his passion of creating videos and his passion for just helping you get to a better you. So once you sign up, you'll also have a depth of workouts that range from 5 to 60 minutes. And as far as exercise equipment, you can go from having nothing to having maybe like a dumbbell, kettlebell, or bands. So check it out. Go to, again, vibestraining.com, hit that blue accept your invite button, and then get started on your fitness journey today.
So with that song, what was the process of it? First, I got the beat, and then the whole process of it, or the whole concept was, what if I was like the worst version of myself? And it was kind of sabotaging, and I won't say self-deprecating, but definitely self-sabotaging to the point where I ruined relationships. So with that song, the whole first verse is, I have a great situation with this girl and whatnot, but there's still that dog inside of me in the back part of my brain. It's like, I can do whatever I want. So the second verse is me becoming, because the name Iscariot is the last name of Judas, the betrayer of Jesus in the Bible. So the second verse kind of really becomes like, I'm becoming Judas to the relationship. I'm selling probably the best and the most holy thing that I have for 30 seconds of pleasure. And now how can I face that person?
Do you speak on personal experience when it, not just, let's say not just that one specific, but like as far as self-sabotage? Because I went to see a therapist for a while. I've realized like I can get anxiety, I can get too much in my head, and then next thing you know, I don't act on something. An example is like I see a cute girl at the bar, I'm like, I can go talk to her, and then it can go to like XYZ, all the way through the alphabet, or I can not talk to her and then da da da. So it's like I'm debating, do I go A or B before I even make that first move? So when it comes to self-sabotage, what do you think about when you kind of see yourself starting to do that? Do you like try to slow yourself down, or are you just kind of like, I can't control the speeding train?
I'm 1000% the exact same way. I'm an overthinker. So like I'll see a cute girl at the bar, and then even before approaching, my brain races 1,000 times a minute. And I'm like, see the future. I see a possible relationship. Do I want that? Is that too much? Am I feeling like am I controlled? And then I'll just freeze up.
Yeah.
But I would say the best moments I've ever had was like, if I ignored that and said, fuck it, and just went for it and not think I think the best thing to do is not think in those situations, because my anxiety goes through the roof sometimes when approaching like that, or at least in the past, I've definitely gotten better, or just general intimate relations. I feel like I self sabotage a whole lot. And
Yeah.
I recently had a great conversation with my friend Chris, where I had a good situation, or at least a decent situation, and I just let it crumble. And he kind of broke it down, saying that, one, I definitely need to talk to a therapist about this. But two, uh, I think people like us, if we're in the same mindset, which I think we are, like, we're scared to be loved. And it's a weird thing that, like, you get the love that you expect. Or damn, what's that line from Person Being Wallflower? We accept the
Oh,
love we think we deserve. There it
yeah.
is.
Yeah. We definitely are, because I I've noticed that I tend to, I jump to from A to Z, because like in my last relationship, I was like, okay, this is great. We're going along 8 months. I went to go have Christmas with their parents in California, and
Mm,
I started thinking about marriage, because like I could see myself. I was like, I could see myself with this one for a very long time. But the downside was I didn't do the steps. I didn't talk to her. I didn't ask for permission and check with
mm.
her. So I was self sabotaging myself in that aspect when it comes to relationships, because I'm like, maybe this could be it. Now I'm like trying to think, is this relationship going to hinder my podcasting time? Because if it is, then it's like, no.
That's one thing I was very much afraid for in college. I was very fearful of, like, if I were to get in a relationship, that would detract me from making music and me just what I want to do with my life. And now I'm gonna resent that person. So why would I even bother getting into a relationship with that person? Or I would be like, this person's going to like I back definitely early days of college, I was like, my depression is making great art. And if this person makes me happy, that's gonna ruin my art. So what would I do? Not get with that person, because I guess I don't want to be happy.
So your anxiety and depression, how long have you been dealing with it?
Depression, definitely since the age of 7. Anxiety kind of comes and goes. I would say I don't have too much anxiety, but it might be just me overthinking. But depression, I definitely had since the age of 7, because this might be the first time we're talking on air about it. I have a very rare skin disease called HS. So basically, what it does, it's my body fighting itself, and I get huge boils. Like, you ever read the Bible
I
as a kid?
I was gonna ask you about your religious views, because I never read the Bible. I was never much of a
Mm-hmm.
churchgoer, because my grandma was. I went with her one time when I was a kid with my brother. We had our WWF action figures, and we were
Hey,
playing very quietly. But outside of that experience, and I went to, I think, one youth group while in college, just because of a girl. But um, so other than those two experiences, I don't have much when it comes to actual Bible. But when it comes to like storytelling, like let's say this Joker right behind me, in the DC, like when they
mm-hmm.
bring on the gods, the demons, angels, whatnot, I'm all
I
in.
like Sandman
I'm
and all
all
them. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm all in.
Lucifer, Morningstar.
Let's go. But go on with what you're saying. Sorry.
So the whole point of me bringing the Bible is there's an Exodus, like when the Jews are being enslaved by Egyptians. There's uh, one of the plagues is they get boils on their skin.
Yes.
And another person in the Bible who had that was Job. And I kind of liken myself to them. I kind of liken myself to Job. Jesus.
Need
There we
some
go.
water? Need some water?
Yeah, nah, I'm good. But it's more so like I feel like I was very much being punished for things as a young child. Like, God was punishing me for things I did at the age of 7. So that really kind of just fucked me up mentally. So I
Mhm.
went to a private school. So religion's been a big part of my life, but I'm kind of like teetering on what I believe, what I don't believe. I kind of think that there's one central creator, and he gave everybody a message, and all religions are like a different interpretation of that message.
Mm.
That's where I'm at right now. But yeah, so with this disease, it really fucked me up mentally. Like, it's scarred up my entire body, especially like below the waist. I can hide it, or at least as a child, I could hide it. But once I got to college, it started to show more and more. So that made me very depressed and suicidal to a certain extent, but at this time in my life, I feel much better.
Yeah, it's just gotta, because I have eczema. I have all these other skin conditions that I can go into great detail for, but I'm not going to. But it can shut you off from being intimate with others. When it comes to, like, let's say back to
Mhm.
that girl, it you're like, okay, she's showing some interest, but I do have eczema. What will she do if she thinks it's contagious? Blah 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 blah. And then you're just like,
Mhm.
it's not worth it. It's just gonna cause more headaches. I mean, granted, I will be happier because I'm with someone, but it's like I need to be happy with myself, which I'm also still learning to do, and I'm almost
Mhm.
30.
I know, but it's a hard thing to do because we're affected by the things that we thought or were taught when we were kids. So it's hard to reverse that.
Mhm. And yeah, because when in college, I'm sure there's the Willamette River, and there's chances for you to go floating or whatnot.
Yeah,
When those opportunities came up to you, what was your thinking?
I never went. Yeah, I never floated in the river. I don't think I ever even got into the Willamette. I know everybody was doing it. It might have been insecurity or it might have been just, I don't want to go in that dirty water, my first thought. But yeah, I just never did it. I know that's kind of like a ritual and everybody does it, but I never jumped into what's that little the fountain Jaquat? I know you're not supposed to do it.
Oh, I
People did
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I was never gonna do that. I don't
Uh,
think I ever went swimming in Oregon in terms of like bodies of water.
yeah. Well, I think that part of the Willamette would be not as dirty as if, let's say, you're in the Willamette from Portland area, because I've been in the Willamette in Portland. It's not great. So I think if you did get that opportunity to, like, float down the Willamette, it's at least cleaner. So that was my defense for Willamette River
Okay,
on
okay.
that
I like
part.
that.
But yeah, I've gotten offered, like, while in college, I got offered twice, and I went both times. And the funny thing is, like, while my eczema is not like super noticeable, I don't know how to swim. So
Oh well, that poses a problem then, doesn't it?
a little bit. And I was dumb. I was like, I'm just gonna hold for dear life onto the float, or the little floaty, and I'm
The
just not gonna
floaty,
fall over. So I mean, I'm still here. I'm still alive. Still good.
right? You made it, so
I
it
made
all
it.
worked out for you.
Now, as far as who do you talk to when your anxiety's a little high, and maybe your depression's kind of kicking in a little stronger than usual? Because we talked about, for your therapist is something maybe down the line. Uh, who do you talk to right now?
My biggest person that I talk to currently is my best friend Chris. We kind of go back and forth in terms of how we're feeling, checking in on each other. But back in the day when it was really, really bad, it was my best friend Troy, who's still my best friend. But back then, I relied on her so heavily. Like, if you can check the call logs and like the text message logs, it's paragraphs on paragraphs of how I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, how I'm feeling. And if looking back, it's kind of selfish that I just put all that onto another person. And like, I'm not sure if I did the same. I'm pretty sure I did, but not to the extent of I was laying everything out. And now with Chris, I've learned from that, and it's kind of been like a healthy thing. Like, he tells me stuff, I tell him my stuff, and just kind of feel better about it.
The woman's name is Trey, you said?
Troya, like it would be Troy and then the
Oh,
A.
okay. Uh, I mean, did she, share with her how she's feeling with you? Because those kinds of
Oh
things
yeah,
need to be like a two-way road.
yeah. It's definitely a two-way road. I just felt very selfish for just like unloading all that onto another person. Like, I grew up in a household that's like hold things in, don't let anybody in. So like to open up to somebody like that is kind of like the opposite and
It's
antithesis of what I've been
so
taught.
hard. It's so hard.
Right.
Dear
Like
God, it's
it's
so hard.
masculinity, man. Like it's a killer. That's why dudes dropping brain aneurysms like 36 because they've been
Oh,
holding on to things since
dude.
like third grade.
Yeah, and like, what the greatest thing from what I learned when I went to go see a therapist was that they're unbiased. So with her, it's like, it's good that you're able to unload that, but she's gonna be biased to some degree.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, I'm now being a little picky on who I share things with now. So it's like, I there's like two people like I know I could talk to, and then maybe like a handful of people I'm trying to like elevate to that status. So it's like because it's nice to
Mhm.
not put it all on one person, just diversify. That's a financial term.
Right. I guess I have a question for you. Have you, in a relationship, like treated your girlfriend as a therapist and just unloaded everything on her?
I am the opposite because I want to. So so that girlfriend I had when I left Eugene, I think you met her maybe once or twice. You know, her and I
Mhm.
broke up a long time ago, and that's fine. We're all doing our own thing now. But I just didn't know how to share. I didn't know how to open up. I didn't know like because I always had a bad thought in the back of my head, going back to the self sabotage. Am I good enough? Is this like is
Mm,
she gonna accept everything I say when it comes to like something difficult or just a conflicting opinion? I'm
yeah.
slightly a people pleaser too, so it's
Same way. I'm the same way.
dude,
It's hard to.
it's so hard. It's so hard. So then for you, have you kind of catered your way of approaching like women and as far as like thinking about who could spend some time with down the line, or do you still cling to that same mindset of like, she's hot, let's rock and roll?
I guess it's a mixture of both because I'm at the point in my life now where I've already kind of had my fun. Like I'm still young, only 24. Still, I guess, want to be out in the streets, but I feel like I won't take anyone seriously unless we have a deeper connection. And it's hard because it's hard to open up, and it's hard to. I don't want to feel trapped or confined. I know I have serious, not serious. I feel like I have commitment issues,
Yeah.
and that's just my own insecurity. But yeah, I'm definitely both those ways. I definitely still want to be out here, but also I'm sick of like the games and all the bullshit, the nonsense, the whole 9 yards is exhausting a lot of the time.
Tinder, Hinge, are you using any of those apps?
I'm on Hinge.
Yeah.
I've used them all. I've used Tinder. I've used Black, which is like a black dating. It's like a black Tinder.
Hmm.
I'm on Hinge currently, but it's I hate online dating.
Yeah.
It's the worst for me. I hate it.
Oh yeah, so I started using Hinge because I want to take a break from Tinder because Tinder was just it's so hard to get a match because obviously so many factors you have to think about. It's like, did they have the same like age range?
There's I watched a whole like documentary about how Tinder's process is,
Mhm.
and basically it's systematically designed to. It's not designed for men. It's designed for women.
What?
And I don't mean that in like a misogynistic way. I mean that in terms of women are going to get way more likes than men.
Mhm.
Simply on the fact that the system is built for men to go on there and swipe. A girl, all they have to do is make an account, and horny dudes gonna come out the woodwork just
They
to.
really are. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in like our society, like of course it's gonna be men courting women. And with that being said, like Tinder, all you have to do if you're a woman, at least I assume, I talked to my homegirl about it, you should make an account and figure out which dudes you want to talk to. Guys, we have to go out and just test the waters, and hopefully some girl likes us back, and hopefully he's not a catfish, and hopefully,
Yeah.
all those things still factors for women, but it's
Ho-
definitely an easy time
hopefully
for.
she's not asking you to follow her OnlyFans account. So it's there's always
I,
that.
I've gotten that. I've gotten check out my private Snapchat. I'm like, oh no.
No, no. Who uses Snapchat anymore?
Yeah, on God, like nobody. At least I've used Snapchat like consistently since college.
Yeah. Like I download it when I'm bored and I can't fall asleep. I'm like, I download like, let's see if anything's happening. No, no, nothing at all.
Nothing's ever happening on Snapchat.
Nothing at all. Oh man. So
What do you think of Hinge?
what was that?
What do you think of Hinge?
I mean, I love the idea that I could talk to someone easier, like immediately off the bat. That's a good opening line. So like, let's say,
Mhm.
I see this girl. Most recently I saw this girl say like, oh, I could find the best underground burger place. So it's like, oh, I can start a conversation based off of that, asking something simple like, oh, where is your best favorite burger place in your area? Blah blah blah. So,
Mhm.
the first time I started using Hinge, I put one of my like they have a prompt and then they have an answer, and that's how you can get conversation going. I put something like, "Oh, if you could throw a football, then that's gonna be the key to my heart," or something like that. So this
Right.
girl responded, and then we talked, and then I was like, "I'm sorry," I was still a little tender as far as like trying to get myself back out there. This is also during COVID, so
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's rough waters.
it's worth water. So, we talked for a little bit, and then I ended up saying like I think we'd be better if we friends. So I still talk to that woman today. I consider one of my best friends, and that's actually the second woman that I've become best friends with through a dating app. So it's like
Oh wow.
if it doesn't work one way, it might work another way.
You never know. So so with that girl and the girl before, have was it you that put them in the friend zone, I guess?
It was yeah, but I'm very like thanks, man. I was over that, but I'm not. No, I'm not. But yeah, no, they said that, and then I kind of agreed because the conversations we would have together. It's just it just made sense. It's
Yeah.
it's hard also to like put them in those zones and always like remember that they're in those zones because it's the male mind can wonder.
Could wander quite a bit.
Yeah, I can. It can. So yeah, you seem like someone that wants to. Oh gosh, you're in the rap scene, and then with the rap scene, it also garnishes a lot of attention because
Indeed.
you were on stage for the Willamette Valley Music Festival back in 2018. So
Was.
your last year at the UO. What was that experience like? A, and then B, what was the after effects of performing on stage as far as like people talking to you and more people surrounding you and trying to get your attention?
The before parts was, I would say, slightly nerve wracking in terms of how do I want my performance? What's the song layout? I had a same friend Chris and the other friend, the underground friend Smythe, help me out. Smythe was actually the DJ. Chris became my hype man for that set. It was more so like nailing everything. So like even if there's only 10 people in the crowd, I'm rocking it
Yeah,
regardless.
there you go.
So that was the prep. Uh, the on stage portion kind of felt like a dream because me, I love performing. I love being on stage. I love seeing like people really rock with my stuff and resonate with them. And even if they don't know the lyrics, like I can change the whole vibration of an entire room or an entire EMU green just by performing or how I perform and tell like this. It's some type of like narcissistic control that you can have on stage, which is intoxicating and kind of unnerving, but I love it. And I guess the post was, I would say it's rather regular. It was more so another day on campus. The most I would get was like, "Oh, you're that guy who performed." I'm like, "Yeah, how you doing?" And we just had like a normal conversation. But outside of that, it wasn't like, "Oh, let me follow you right now." It was cool. Like it
Yeah,
was kind of another day.
yeah. It, I know sometimes when I finish an episode, let's say your episode is finished, I submit it. I for some reason just think like the whole social media is gonna blow up and be like, "Oh,
Yep.
Keoni posted a new episode," blah blah blah. And then when I get hit with that reality, that's like, oh, only like a handful, and maybe one or two are family. So it's like, eh.
Yep.
But what? But I left that impression on them. Has anyone that has come up to you, like what did they say? What has the most impression? Or what was the long lasting impression they got from your music? Like, was it the beats? Was it the lyrics? Or was it just your voice? Which one of those do you think kept with fans the most or the longest?
In terms of that performance, or in terms of like my career overall.
I would say from that performance because it's kind of hard to say career overall, but you said people would stop by and say hi to you and said that you're the guy that performed. I know
Yeah.
maybe it didn't come up a conversation, but what would you wish is the long lasting effect that your music has on people? Would it be the music, lyrics, or your voice?
Okay. I'll dissect that.
Sure,
So in
sure.
terms of the performance, I would say the the performance and the energy, because at a concert, you're kind of just there unless you already know the lyrics. You're kind of just there for a good time and the energy. Like people don't care what you're saying when you're on stage as long as it sounds good. It makes them move, makes them feel something. I know the lyrics can help with that, but unless you know who's performing, you kind of don't care what they're saying as long as it slaps. So like they were like, "Oh my god, that song was so cool!" Like it was more how the song made them feel. Now in terms of like what the takeaway I want people to have is, I guess, is that feeling. I would like to have people remember me for my lyrics, for the sounds and whatnot. But if I could like touch somebody and inspire them or just make them feel anything, then I've done my job as a musician. Because all I can do is send out vibrations and hope someone receives them. You know?
Yeah. So what was the vibration send out feeling like when you did your music video, Velveeta SSAP interlude music video? It had a very interesting concept where it was the expectation versus reality. That one caught me pretty strongly. It was like, that's a great idea. And that was
Thanks, man.
filmed back in, maybe 2 years ago, of May 2019,
Yeah,
right?
2019 seems so
Yeah.
long ago now that we've been trapped inside.
Where did the idea to make the music video like that come to play?
The idea was heavily influenced by 500 Days of Summer. I don't know if you've seen
Mm.
it before, but it's one of my favorite rom-com movies with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And there's a whole scene. It's expectation versus reality. So all right, long story short of the movie, dated the girl named Summer. He wanted more. She didn't. They broke up. They rekindle a little bit, and this is where the expectation versus reality comes in. He expects to rekindle the relationship and get back to where they used to be, but the reality is she's just not there.
Mm.
So my thing is, my interpretation of that scene or my rendition of it was the expectation of meeting up with this girl and having such a great time and like getting to a place where we could be something, but the reality is I got ghosted.
It is hard to overcome that. You got ghosted. But what was the difficulty when it came to like filming? What was the difficulty between having to do the same action over and over again to make sure it's the same thing?
I would say it's a fun process for me, but the whole thing is like knowing you're being recorded and trying not to act weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a legitimate reaction, or you're just overacting, or if you're just not like in that moment and you just have to keep doing it again and again and again till you get it right. It's very similar to recording a song because sometimes it's like you got the lyrics right. You basically got the whole thing done, but it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel your cadence doesn't match the passion that the lyrics need.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds phony. So the hardest thing was trying not to be phony and trying not to look corny.
Unintentionally sounding phony and unintentionally being corny. It's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
all right, I didn't mean to do it. Let's take it again.
Right? Run it back.
Run it back. And in the beginning of that video, going back to the body image, you actually started, I believe the opening was, you coming out of bed, and then you wore what I've seen you wear a bajillion times, your Dodgers baseball jersey.
Yep.
But it was unbuttoned. We saw your skin. So how did it feel getting that on camera?
It was definitely kind of a statement. That video is actually a sequel to the first video I did called Black.
Which I did see that one too. It's just they all kind of mesh together.
Where I'm shirtless and my skin showing. And it's kind of just me like accepting that I'm big, that I have these scars, and just I'm ready to show it to the world, I guess. Like I can't not be me. So I might as well be all of me that I could be.
Yeah, exactly. It's just now, I mean, scars are cool. So
I mean, some scars are cool, like a little knife scar, like, oh, I got bit by a shark, so I got this on my shoulder. Like internal scars or the shit that I have, it doesn't seem cool to me personally.
Yeah,
But
no,
who knows?
I definitely get it because with eczema, it's such a bad stigma of like it is contagious, blah blah blah. But it's like no, it's just you're going back to again the whole back into your shell because someone's commenting on your skin and someone that you might have an interest in.
Just hitting that insecurity.
Yeah, yeah, it's That's not fun. That's not fun.
Especially when that insecurity just is out in the open. Some people can hide the insecurities and they come out, but like when someone looks at it, it's like, oh, like I know you see my insecurity, and it's
So
making me insecure that you see that.
the so when it comes to Chris and then all the other close connections you've established, have they seen your insecurities? Have they seen you at your
Oh,
worst?
1000%. They've seen me at my lowest, but that's what friends are there for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I I love you, man, because this is a conversation where I've knowing getting to know so much about you. A and B, realizing you pursued a Spanish degree after helping this numbskull make it to class.
Thank you, mate.
So most recently, you posted some images on your Instagram, and I knew this
Mhm.
about you actually prior to, where you have some anime characters behind you.
Indeed.
Where'd your passion for anime come from?
It has always been there. Since a young child, I've loved anime. The first experience I had with anime was Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
It was on Telemundo. I
Yep.
didn't have Cartoon Network at the time. Me and my brothers just stumbled across it, and we are like, "What is this? It's in Spanish. We don't know no lick of Spanish, but we were glued to that TV for 2 hours. So we're like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever!" And then eventually, a couple years later, we come home, and somehow my parents bought Cartoon Network, and Toonami was on. So that was what skyrocketed my love for anime, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, Naruto. The list goes on. Case closed, stuff like that. So I just been infatuated with animation, anime, cartoons. All that has been in my blood. But back in those days, it was nerdy to watch that, so I just kind of reeled it in. And
Yeah.
now I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah. Let's just shout out to the world. So taking Dragon Ball Z as an example,
Mm-hmm.
what is it about that show that really caught on with you?
Oh, because it was just a fantasy. Like for me, with my own insecurities and like seeing Goku, somebody who can just overcome every obstacle in his ways, like it was hope for me to be able to do that. And kind of later in life, I kind of realized that it's a very far reach, but the tale. I watched, RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He made a whole statement about how the tale of Goku is a tale of black man in America. It's a reach, but it definitely like it resonates on some levels with me. So there's been huge ties with Dragon Ball Z and just like young black kids. I don't know what it is. You can ask. We're not a monolith, but the majority of like young black kids at least know from my age know Dragon Ball Z, and they might even know it was an anime, but they just enjoyed it because one, people were fighting. Two, people were shouting.
Yep.
And three is just like the power fantasy of just being so powerful, even in a society where you're deemed as a deviant and whatnot, that you can just overcome that is something inspiring.
Yeah. I mean, the fight scenes took forever, but they were long.
So,
They lasted in the memories for a lifetime. Like I remember the Cell fights, I remember the Frieza fights, I remember
mm-hmm.
all of them, and Majin Buu, I remember them. But it was also when they would power up and just start yelling. It's just, and then oh
Mm-hmm.
god, I remember just looking in the mirror, like let's say after football practice, and I'm just like, I'm gonna turn Super Saiyan now, and just start like
Yeah,
punching the mirror. And, I'm gonna keep that in this actual video. I'm not cutting that out. That's gonna be out there
don't
forever.
I'll add on that because even me and my brothers were like, ah,
Yeah.
like as kids just shouting at each other like we're not transforming. Me and my other best friend. That's how I met my other best friend who turned into my roommate in the third grade. I've known him since we were in kindergarten, but in the third grade we had a show and tell, and I
Yeah.
brought my Trunks action figure, and I think he brought his Goku action figure, and we were like, you like Dragon Ball Z? I like Dragon Ball Z. Are we best friends? And that's how we became best friends.
Was Trunks your favorite character?
I was a basic bitch, so I love Goku and I love Goten because he was just like Goku.
Yeah.
But now that I've grown, I think my favorite characters are Teen Gohan, he turned Super Saiyan 2,
Mm-hmm.
Trunks for sure. I still love Goten, man, and Goku.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say probably my favorite character is Super
You-
Saiyan 2 Gohan.
You can't not love, you cannot love Goku because A, yeah, granted
Yeah.
he's a central character, but B, it's like the fights he gets into, the crap that he gets kicked out of him, and then he still keeps on ticking. Jeez,
Yeah,
man.
he's a thug.
He really
He's
is.
a thug. But I'll say the only time, there's a couple times you can hate him. The biggest time that you can hate him is when he's fighting Cell, right?
Sure.
And Cell's like half beaten, and he throws a sense of being at him. He's like, you know what? Beat up my son real quick. Everybody's like, are you an idiot? Why would you help this dude out? That's the only time I'm like, he's so dumb.
What are you doing, dude?
Like, you want your son to die. That's what you want.
Okay, so my brother introduced me to Dragon Ball Z because it's been a while, but then on animate, maybe it's Funimation, yeah, the Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball. I watched the Trunks and Goku Black saga. I finally saw that.
Oh, that was a good one.
Trunks was annoying me though.
Yeah, and that one, Trunks was annoying, and there's a lot of plot holes. But Dragon Ball Z is full of plot holes, so I just let it slide.
It's all good. It's all good. So you mentioned that RZA from Wu-Tang Clan compared Goku with the Black. Was it history or just the Black?
Like the prototypical Black experience.
Yeah. So 2020 was rough because of not just COVID-19 and the elections, but with the George Floyd murder and I had to ask you because of your experience with the Black Male Alliance and the leadership you showed with wanting to help improve the population of Blacks in University of Oregon. I think that's the best way to
a certain extent.
Yeah. How did you feel about it? And then I think, how do you feel about it when it started? Because right now it's not as talked about, but it's still talked about. It's just not strongly. How do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement and its progression?
I guess I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, I'm very much for it because for all lives matter, Black lives have to matter, and Black lives do matter and should matter. But I guess I would want more organization. But this is from an outside perspective. I don't know the inside information in terms of how they're getting things done. But it seems like this movement could be tied to anything, but we need like actionable actions, I guess. My biggest thing is we can't use the same tactics that we've used 50, 60, 70 years ago. We need to adapt to the current era and overcome that way. And that sounds so cliche. But I know that marches and whatnot, they definitely help. But I want to see what happens after the march. Are we getting together and we making laws? Are we making it's hard to explain. Are we getting together and making change? Like, are we getting together? I keep saying the same thing. Basically, we know where we want to be, and this is where we're at. What are we doing outside of the march? Because people can come to the march, do whatever, or let those fake protesters come through and just ruin stuff for the actual people who care. What are we doing after the march? Are we getting together and coming up with like laws, or not saying laws, but a plan where we can take things to legislation and the judicial system? Or are we just marching because we want to be a part of this moment?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm a sports person, you know that. So what I saw from the movement and the players speaking out was that it was shown all over, uniforms for like NBA, and then NFL they couldn't do it to that extent, but they have Black Lives Matter. They have some of the victims' names on their helmets. So I saw some movement towards social justice and showing that kind of support. And then with the NFL season coming close to the end, I guess it's still playoffs right now, but I'm seeing a lot of minority coaches becoming candidates, and then I see a lot of minority personnel is becoming GMs. So I see, as far as from the sports end of it all, I'm seeing the change starting to kick in, which is it's like, whoa. Because Roberts, the Jets just hired the first ever Muslim head coach. So
they just did.
Like, what? That's awesome. And then we're trying to I think a couple are more coordinators are being considered, but they're in the playoffs, so they can't make anything official yet. But the change is happening, at least on the sports end. Again, as far as the real life end, we'll see.
But I'm definitely glad how the sports dudes stepped up. I would definitely like to see more of it. I think a lot of, and this is a big thing that we dealt with at Oregon, that a lot of power is handed to people in entertainment and in sports. Because a lot of the times, like, if the sports team didn't stop doing something, then if the sports team were to like league up with a BSU or whatnot and decide to stop playing, everything would stop.
Mhm.
But it's hard to ask. I guess it's hard to ask that for somebody who's there on scholarship. Like they can have that potentially taken away, but it's more so like the bigger cause, like of what you want to. And I wish we could see more of that, especially in terms of the NBA. I know that they canceled some games because, or the players walked out of games. I want to see more of that. I want to see more passion from them. Not saying that I don't understand the position they're in, but they need to understand that the power that they hold. And I'd like to see them use that more. And it's definitely showing, as you said.
Yeah. Now, how did you feel? To bring a little bit of politics, just a little bit of politics into this. How did you feel when Trump is officially got, I guess, or Biden officially won the elections, and then Trump is now, doing whatever he's doing as far as I know the inauguration is this upcoming week, but how did you feel? How did your community feel when it was made official that Biden is our next guy up?
It felt good, but it's also we need I need more than just an election win. I need to see actionable change within the community, within policy. Like I love that Joe got in. I love that Trump is out. God, I love that Trump is out. But this is the first step. Like I said with the marching, this is the first step. Now we need to do X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for me to be truly happy.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if you can answer this now. Is there something you wish you could see happen that, and it's kind of hard because I'm still trying to figure out all the laws and all these regulations. Because prior to this job I was pretty much oblivious to politics. I'll openly admit that. I was just like, just give me a sheet of who to vote for and give me like a pamphlet to read. I'll do it. As far as anything else, I don't really want to pay attention to it. So is there something you want to see happen that, within this next like 4 years of Biden's reign that would make you feel like a step is being taken?
I would like to see the redistribution and defunding of police. And by defunding, I'm not saying just take away all their money. I'm saying to take away some of their money and reallocate that into programs so which police are the catch all for any bad situation. At times, there's people with mental disabilities that end up being killed or end up killing people, and the police are called, and the situation is kind of made worse when the situation could have been prevented if we had those systems in place within the community to prevent them from causing harm to themselves or other people. I would like to see more money being funded towards education. I would like to see, what else would I like? My number one thing is just more funding for systems within the community.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke, but I was like, nope.
No, go ahead.
Well, you're like, what else would I want? It's like PS5. So.
Oh yeah, I would love PS5. I know you said college loan forgiveness and all that. I would love, personally, love for that. Because someone who's out of state paying college loans to University of Oregon kind of need that. Or else I'm just gonna be in debt for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I remember one day I decided to just randomly look up how long it would take, like years wise, for me to officially pay off, because I have one student loan left. The other ones were small, so they're easy to take care of. But the big one, I was like, how long would this take me if I actually like paid it off and was consistent about it? I would be, so I'm 29 now. I think I would be about 50 to 60 until it's all officially paid off. I was like, great. Depressing.
But you have like in-state tuition or out of state?
In-state.
So yeah, It's great. I mean, not great, but I feel like it's more manageable than out of state because how not to pocket watch, but how much debt are you in terms of student loans?
So when I left the University of Oregon, I think I was close to 60. And then at this current moment, I am about 50. So I paid off about 10 in
Oh,
4-ish years or something like that.
yeah,
It was a pain in the ass because that could have gone towards groceries. So it's like,
go towards anything else, but uh, mine is about double yours.
ooh.
Yeah.
So car wash, right? You can help you out, Kickstarter.
Car washes, some what's it called? On Saturdays when they give stuff away.
Like at a
Oh,
like
yard sales.
yard sales. Okay. I was like, Saturdays. What's going on Saturdays? But yeah, yard sales. I mean, you don't need that TV, right?
I'll get rid of it. I can sign up for Girl Scouts, start selling cookies. I don't know.
All right, August. So I like to end my interviews by asking 2 hypothetical questions from this packet of 170. You're only getting 2, but if you want the whole hundo 70, then I can have another episode and we can just go over the whole thing. So for you, I thought about this one because since you're an anime fan, what cute cartoon character would be absolutely terrifying if it existed in the real world?
What cute cartoon character would be terrifying?
You have so many options.
I have so many options. I guess the first 2 that come to mind would be Jack from The Incredibles would be absolutely terrifying. And then I don't know if you ever watched One Piece, but Tony, the little reindeer dude, he's adorable, but he has a monster mode that he can turn into, which is terrifying.
I was thinking Chi-Chi from Dragon Ball Z because when she gets in full rage mode, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, but I feel Chi-Chi's very similar to my own mother, so it's like, another Tuesday.
Yeah, you're good. And then I started watching One Punch Man, and I think Genos would have been very terrifying to see in real life. I mean, he's probably a cute kid. I don't know.
I feel like Genos would be probably chill. I mean, yeah, because he's actually, I mean, he might look ugly in terms of robotic parts, but
I think the combination of like, I'm trying to imagine if I see that in like a real action live movie where it's a robotic man with a kid face. It's like, ooh.
Like a Terminator-esque.
Yep. I think more of like fear of that you have no emotions would be the reason why I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right. So the second one, what would be great and what would be terrible about all humans having translucent skin and muscles so that you could see all the organs working?
All right. Run that back one more time.
All right. What would be great and what would be terrible if all humans have translucent skin and muscles so that you could see all of the organs? So all you see is organs.
Okay.
What's great about it?
All right. One great thing would be about it is but this all right. In a perfect world, we can see it all at the same time. You can see when someone's like lying because their heartbeat would move like faster, or like you'll see like a change in the heartbeat.
Yeah.
But that's assuming if their clothes like don't cover it up. I guess the worst thing would just be seeing it all. Like that would be terrible to see. Like, dog, I'm gonna get X-rated here, but like imagine just being able to see that your homie's horny or that your girl's right there. Like that's you know, the blood move around to different parts. Like I don't want to see none of that.
Yeah. Oh, good. I would agree with you. That's probably the terrible part, just being able to visually see it all. But yeah, to be able to just see how all the organs work when you're eating, or maybe you're lying on a test or whatnot, or just seeing the brain how it kind of processes thoughts. I think that would be pretty cool. And
It,
oh,
oh no, worth it. I know that all that's worth. Like, you can see when little Timmy's about to shit himself. You can see the stomach moving. Like,
oh.
it might not be worth.
Well, I mean, like for babies
Like, you'll
and
see like
mothers.
someone.
Oh,
I
dude.
guess it'll be cool for babies because with them, I guess, like you'll see the stomach like gurgling. It's like, oh, they're probably having indigestion. That's why they're crying.
Yeah.
But for like grown adults, I don't want to see that because like that would mean that people's eyes are always open even when they close their eyelids. So they're just like perpetually staring at everything. It's
Oh,
terrifying. It's a
oh.
terrifying.
You're welcome. I give that thought to you.
thank you for this moral dilemma I'm having in my mind now. This little science project going through.
August Jefferson, where can the people find you on social media, and where can they find your music?
You can find me at Notorious AUG on Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud. You can find me at August Period on Apple Music and Spotify. You can find me at August Jefferson on YouTube. You can also find my business at privatebeachentertainment.com. We have the Instagram handle privateXbeach on Instagram. And yeah, we just finalized the forms on that. So we're official LLC now.
Hey, okay, so that's what that meant on the top sheet. Private beach. That was something on there. I was like, what the heck is that? You want to talk quickly about your private beach business?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it within 30 seconds. So
We have all the time in the world.
Private Beach is just the brainchild of me, my friend Drew, and Chris. And it was originally meant to keep me, my friend Drew, and Brendan together and like make music and stuff like that. But now it's evolved to being a platform for Black creatives within LA and Portland, because Chris is in Portland. Well, we want to branch out to the world. And it's kind of a music label / clothing line. And we want to, again, be a platform for Black creatives. So right now we have a couple of artists underneath our wing that we're kind of grooming, trying to get ready for the new year, especially when the COVID vaccine gets out and we can finally go outside. We have a clothing line that's getting ready to drop. We just need some things and then we'll have it all ready to go. And yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. Just I'll put the description, or I'll put the link to Private Beach into the description below. That way people can easily access it. But other than that, man, I will obviously give the shout out to everywhere to follow your music on the socials. But
yeah, man, this is so much fun.
Right? Oh, it was so great catching up with you.
Oh God, this is incredible.
Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the episode. If you like what you heard or watched and would like more episodes from Keoni Chats, the show can be found on all major podcast platforms under Keoni Chats. A video version is available on YouTube under Keoni Chats as well. So like and subscribe on those platforms to keep in the loop as far as the next episode released. But if you would like to be a guest, go ahead and email me your story at kcmedia13@yahoo.com, and I'd love to get you scheduled. To keep up to date with all of the episode release announcements on social media, the KC Media brand can be found on Instagram and Twitter under KC Media 13. And then on Facebook, it can be found under Conluke Media. So until the next episode, everyone, please take care.